Welcome to Mendezville Live, with something to talk about. Here is Rudy Mendez.
What's going on, Mendezville Live? How are you guys doing tonight? We got another show for you today. But before we get started with all that, we have today's sponsors. Tonight's sponsors is sponsored by Elite Wellness Center, located at 1217 North 10th Street, McAllen, Texas. Go ahead and give them a call for all your wellness needs. Also sponsored to you today by Rudy Mendez, For Life distributor, Together Building People. We are the immune system company. And we have a little show. And if you have any questions on how to acquire some transfer factor molecule supplements, you go to forlife.com/Rudy Mendez. Trying to help everyone with their immune system. Either way. So over the course of the past 5 weeks, I've had some football coaches up here. I've had some basketball. I had a good basketball coach yesterday. I had a collegiate basketball player a few weeks back and cross-country coach and all these things. And I think the common factor that we talk about is lifting weights. No matter if it's at the high school level, especially at the collegiate level, you got to be strong. You know, you got to increase power, rate of force development, all those things. So I thought to myself, why not bring in a guy who's a certified personal trainer, former certified personal trainer, ripped. I mean, the guy's shredded. So we're going to try to find out a little bit more information on how we can get some of our young athletes in the area to get as swole as him and understand the different muscles and all these other things, how to work out 3-day, 4-day, 5-day, 6-day. All the verbiage tonight we're going to try to include. So we got our former certified personal trainer and our current self-employed entrepreneur, good friend of mine, Ivan Villanueva. Ivan, how you doing, man? I think it's froze. Ivan, you there? Give me a sec. Let me remove him. Let me bring him back. Nope. Something happened to his internet. No worries. He'll come. It'll kick him back and he'll come back in. Let me see one more time. We are having some technical difficulties. I don't know what just happened. Probably well, seeing that let me give you guys, you could also find For Life supplements at forlife.com /Rashad. I think Rashad Cover tried to do a /. I think it's forlife.com /Rashad Cover. You want to get some For Life? So actually, it's better if you get them from him. In Austin, San Antonio area, we got forlife.com /Rashad Cover. He's tried some of the supplements, pretty good out there, coach over there in Austin somewhere. No worries. We got Ivan Villanueva coming back. Here we go. Ivan, you back with us?
I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no worries. You're back. The point is that you're back. Yeah, man. So big time. We've had a lot of discussion about how to get these athletes strong, having them understand a little bit of the importance of weightlifting to make sure they stay healthy in sports, especially in football. They get hit. I always say, if you want to be a basketball player, you got to be strong in your legs. Full body, actually, got to get quicker, faster, jump higher, all those things. So just to give everybody a background, I met Ivan, about 3-4 years ago. You were teaching people about protein, and we're gonna make sure we talk about that today as well. I think a lot of people out there have a misconception that you need protein to lift weights. When I always tell people, one of the knocks I get, especially with my supplement, is, well, you're not big or you're not strong, but that doesn't necessarily that protein gets you there. The body needs protein, but we'll get into that and we'll let you explain some of those things that, the science behind all that. So for starters, the way we usually run this is let me remove this bad boy. We usually talk about a little bit of your backstory. So you're a former certified personal trainer. Can you walk us through how you got into that, Ivan?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks, Rudy. Thanks to Mendezville for having me on. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast tonight. And it's a subject that I love, man. So you're going to see that I'm very enthusiastic and very passionate about it. So I was actually a very, very skinny guy during high school, man. I was tiny. I was weighing 119 as a senior. I actually graduated high school, and I was 119 as a senior. 120s, 125 at the most, soaking wet maybe, But I was a tennis player. And right now, you mentioned
where'd you graduate high school from?
Nikki Rowe High School. Nikki
Oh, you're a
Rowe.
warrior. Okay, cool.
I'm a warrior. That's right.
Sorry.
And that's right. And I was very skinny, but I was a tennis player. And you just mentioned right now that to be a football player, you need upper body strength. To be a basketball player, you need strong legs. You mentioned different characteristics of different athletes. Well, to be a tennis player, it becomes a marathon. So it's a lot of cardio. I was doing 4 to 5 miles a day of just cardio aside from playing tennis.
Yeah.
That's just me. That was my training. And then just do calisthenics. I was just doing push-ups, pull-ups, and that was really my upper body strength. And that's really all I would do. So I was very skinny, and I graduated. And to be honest with you, it all started with a girl. A girl said, "Hey, you know what? If you were to gain a little bit more muscle mass, I'd be more attracted to you."
And that was it. That's all it took.
I'll keep it real with you. That was it. That was it. After that, it changed my it changed my mentality. And I was like, you know what? I gotta start picking up some weights. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna get like that for you. So it started because a girl, and then we broke up, a little bit after that. But I had already started going to the gym, and I loved it. So I was very skinny, man, and I started from nothing, literally. Like I was too skinny, and I started working out. And this was back in 2006 that I started working out. 2000, yeah.
Was this at
about
was that high school or in college?
That was in right after high school. So I had just started college. It was 2004, man. 2004, 2005. That's when I really started lifting weights because I never used to lift weights before that. And I started falling in love with it. I started falling in love with the progress. I remember that when I was able to just pick up the bar for the first time. That's how weak I was. And to me, that was an accomplishment. And obviously start adding weight, and then start adding size, and then start adding supplements, and everything kind of came together. And then my body started to transform. I'm currently right now sitting at 165. So you can see the transformation from, high school to now. Obviously, it's been over 15 years from that. But I was able to gain the muscle mass that I wanted. So that's how I started. I started, very simple, just, because a girl made a comment. And I said, you know what, I'm going to beef up a little bit. And then what turned in from a hobby turned into a passion, and then I started wanting to learn more, everything about it, how to lift correctly, how to, gain muscle mass, how to get ripped, the proper supplementation, the proper eating habits. And that led me to wanting to get my certification as a personal trainer, because at the gym, people would tell me, well, hey, you know what, you're always here. You're giving people advice. People are coming, up to you for advice. Have you ever thought about doing this on the side? And at that point, I was going to school. I was going to UTSA.
Hey, let me see your road runner, holla.
Right, baby. I know that you're a fellow alumni. So I went to UTSA, and as I was going to UTSA, I had a job. I was working retail at the mall, but I was also a certified personal trainer at Gold's Gym because I had to make ends meet, man. I had to, I was a broke college student, so I had to have 2 jobs and go to school, and that's when I was personal training. So I was personal training early in the morning, in the evenings, and that's how I started.
Wait, so what year were you at? Did you start UTSA?
I started UTSA 2006.
Oh, I had already left. I had just left, bro.
Yeah,
my last school year at UTSA was 0405.
Okay.
All right, so you worked out. You didn't work out at the rec. You'd go to Gold's Gym there on by Mendezville, okay?
Once in a while, I go to the rec. Once in a while, it just depends who it was with. If I got invited, if it was somebody, a buddy of mine, or somebody wanted me to work out with them, I'd go to the rec. But otherwise, I'd go to Gold's Gym.
That's interesting because now, a little tangent is seeing that I was in the profession of campus rec and trying to draw students to the rec center. Where of all the 3 I worked at, I'm interested, I guess, later is understanding why a college student, instead of going to our rec center, you'd go to Gold's Gym and pay extra. But of course, it's different culture, different atmosphere. I understand. So you're at Gold's Gym. Go ahead.
It really just came down to the hours of availability and the flexibility. At Gold's Gym, I was able to take my bag, take it with me on the floor. At the rec center, is leave everything in your locker.
A little bit more strict.
More strict, and so that's really what it came down to.
Cool, man. Cool.
Yeah.
So 160, man. I graduated at 160. I'm at 200. I cannot shred a pound, but of course, we get into caloric deficit, caloric surplus, liquid calories. But either way, so this is, give me your, hey, teach us, Ivan, what's going on, man? How do we start? And the kids out there, my junior high kids, the high school kids, young college kids, how do we start? Get us in there.
Man, if you really start looking at your nutrition, because everything comes down to your nutrition, man. I hate to be a martyr for it, and you probably heard it a million times, but it really comes down to the nutrition. Okay, the supplements are gonna supplement. They're gonna help you, yes. And this might be a little bit, wrong coming from a guy that's also in the same supplement company, because people expect us to just push the supplements. But I really believe that you and I, we recommend the supplements when they're needed. Okay, which everybody needs them. But it's really starts with the nutrition. If you're good with your nutrition, then you really you're gonna have a great future with your body, because we only have one body, and that's what I tell people. You really got to be proactive. So if you're proactive, and what I could tell the young people right now, the young student athletes, is if you really focus right now and have discipline in your teenage years and in your 20s, by the time you get to your 30s, it's cruising. From your 30s on, you just have to maintain, because it gets a lot tougher. You start getting a job, real life, family, kids. The dad bod comes around. People want to stay away from that. So, but hey, you know what? If you really start early, all you gotta do is maintain.
Yeah.
So if you have your nutrition down, and I really tell people, it's whatever works best for you. Whatever works best for you, as long as you are eating clean. And if you're a teenager, if you're eating semi-clean, I'm not saying be super strict, because if you're super strict, you're gonna have a mental battle with food. Okay, and that's not the case. It's not healthy. I'm married to a registered dietitian. She works at the hospital. She's got her she's got her master's. You should have her on here one time, man. She's got her master's in registered dietetics.
For sure.
She works at the Methodist Hospital here in San Antonio, which is the #1 hospital here in town. One in all the South region.
Right.
And she tells people, she goes in and deals with patients. She tells people exactly what they need to do to be healthier, not necessarily to gain weight or to gain muscle or anything like that, just to live a healthy lifestyle. So having somebody like that here at home, she's really able to open my eyes to all that there is, that food is good. Food is energy. But you'll only have one body. So think about it this way. What do you want to, what kind of fuel do you want to have? Cheap gasoline, or you want rocket fuel? You want jet fuel?
Jet fuel,
okay? Baby. Jet fuel. So you got to be able to put into your body, whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. You put good in, you're going to get good out.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really what it comes down to. So if you really look at the food and you're eating cheeseburgers, pizza, fried food, chicken wings, then you're probably going to be slower. You're going to have more fat on you. I mean, it is what it is, but if you really start eating cleaner and leaner, you're going to be meaner. That's just the way it's going to be. So it really comes down to what you want to put out. And if you're an athlete, obviously you want to put out the best product.
Well, that's very good that you talk about nutrition and those things that you're talking about, is because I've heard young athletes ask, and they haven't asked me, but I heard a young guy ask one of the weight trainers, I don't know what squad was that, is the understanding that at 15 to 21, I mean, your body is loaded with testosterone, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big advantage, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they asked the question. I don't think they understood that at that point, but hopefully if some are watching, hey, young guys have a big advantage. But then they asked, oh, coach, hey, how do I get big? And carbs, protein. Can you give us a little bit of background on that situation?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you want to gain mass, if you want to gain muscle, you do need to eat. Okay. Even sometimes when you don't feel like eating, but you need to be on a regimen. You need to be on a schedule. So you need to eat more protein. Obviously, you got to eat complex carbs, for energy as well. Stay away from anything that's fried, anything that's too heavy. But you do need to eat your protein. Okay. So that's the best way to be able, the best and easiest way. Okay. I'm not going to say it's the only way, because there's people that I don't know if anybody's watching that's vegetarian, or, there's so many different diets out there right now, so many different regimens. There's obviously the keto, frenzy. Right. That's huge right now. I have nothing against keto. I wouldn't do it because I don't want to get into ketosis. I don't want to put my body through the keto fever and go through the process of getting to ketosis and then jumping off of it. if you're going to jump on it, just stay on it. That's my best recommendation. Don't be flip-flopping, because then, you're not going to have the results that you want. Plus, I work out enough to know that my carb intake is going to be used for energy. It's not going to be stored as fat. Right. So that's the reason why I wouldn't do keto. I'm not saying it's bad. Anybody likes keto, perfect. Go for it. Just stick to it though. So basically anything that you do, just stick to it. Yeah. So what I do right now is I actually take Pro-TF. Okay. This is the protein that I take, Pro-TF. Okay. We'll probably talk about this a little bit later, but there's a lot of other proteins on the market right now. There's good proteins on the market. I'm not going to say that ours is the only one that's good, but it's the one that I choose, aside from being in for life, disclaimer, is that it really provides the best for my body, and I've tested it. I've tested different proteins, and I've put them to the test, and this is the best protein for me and for a lot of people that I talk to.
Seeing that we're already on that, because young kids, that's the number one thing. The carbs, they got to eat a lot more carbs, like you talk about energy. I mean, when you're like football players, basketball players, athletic period, I mean, you're going in the morning. Some guys wake up early before school. They work out. Then they have athletic period. Then they have the after school practice. And then sometimes they go after school, after practice, they go ball up or they put in their shots or whatever it may be, whatever sport it is. Yeah. So they obviously need a lot of energy. So they need their carbs. Protein comes into play. You already mentioned Pro-TF. I'm assuming before you knew about For Life. When did you get into For Life? Around what year?
2010.
All right, so 2010. So just for the people out there that are, Rudy's probably got this guy for Pro-TF, Protein For Life. No. Before 2010, and the protein wasn't in 2010. We just came that was
2016.
Right. So 2016. So for the people that are watching and might be saying, oh, well, this is about Pro-TF. How many proteins have you tried before, and which ones did you like, or what was a plus? Yeah, let's start with that. How many did you take and stuff like that?
Man, I've 15, maybe 15 other proteins. I mean, I've sampled. You've
always taken protein.
I've always taken protein. I started with I forget the name of the very first one that I started, but it came in a box. Not even a box. It was just a box, a bag. And it was cheap protein, but I would go for the grams, the total grams of protein, because when you don't know about protein, you go for the biggest number. That's just the way it is. You go, common mistake, especially if you're young. If you're young, you're going to be like, hey, you know what? I want to gain muscle mass, so I'm going to go for the biggest protein. If there's something that's 40 grams or 50 grams or 60 grams of protein, that's what I'm going to go for, because I want to be able to gain muscle mass. However, it also comes down to the quality of the protein. Okay, because your body cannot process that much protein at once. So it comes down to the quality of the protein. If you have higher quality protein that's easily digestible, you're going to be able to maximize its effects, its benefits a lot more than a protein that has 40, 50, 60, 70 grams of protein. If your body can't process that much, it doesn't matter how much you put in. Your body's just going to defecate it. Okay, so it comes down to quality. So I've taken a lot of proteins, man. I used to get bubble gut, with a lot of them. They used to give me gas. They used to give me what we call the protein farts. I'll be honest with you here on your show, man. My wife, now, before girlfriend, she'd always say like, oh man, like you're training right now. You're going heavy on protein. It's going to be bad. And it's just the truth, and I bet you a lot of guys know what I'm talking about too. So you have a lot of different effects, and I was very blocky because I was getting mass. I was getting blocky. I actually got up to 190. I never broke 200, but I got my highest was 193 that I got to 193 pounds. But man, I had no neck. I was just I was just big, but I was blocky. So I didn't even like taking my shirt off because I was strong. I was blocky. I had mass. It's not like I was fat. I had mass, but it wasn't defined. It wasn't that beach body. And to all young people that are looking around there, are watching right now, if you're at the beach, depends what you want. If you're at the beach and you take off your shirt, I guarantee you no girl's ever going to say, man, that guy probably lifts a lot of weight. Okay. No one's ever going to say that. You want to have an aesthetically pleasing body. At least that's what I'm looking for,
That's the norm. That's the common norm. That's, that's what it is. Even
we all go through it.
Guys, girls, oh man, that looks nice,
Yeah.
I mean, I look at myself in the mirror more. I was like, hey, you know what? I got it. I still got it. That bod, I still, whatever. Yeah. but
Gotta rock it out.
I gotta work on my caloric deficit a little bit, but we're okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So you talk about all these proteins and the biggest thing I learned with you when you gave that presentation a few years back here in McAllen was a term that I had never learned or I had ever heard of, because I used to take a lot of protein myself. I never lifted correctly. I just learned how to live correctly about a year ago. But the phrase that I learned from you was protein spiking. Can you share a little bit about that so the people out there can know what protein spiking is?
Yeah, definitely. So protein spiking. So protein spiking is when companies add different ingredients to the protein, to the raw material. Think about it this way: it's kind of like spiking the punch. Okay, that's where the term comes from. Well, I don't know if that's where the term comes from, but that's what it means. When you add stuff that does not belong with the raw material, in this case, the punch. Talking about protein, protein spiking is a common process where companies they add different ingredients to increase the protein in the protein. However, you need to remember that a lot of different things are made out of protein. For example, your hair, your skin, your nails, it's all made out of protein. So these are all ingredients, or these are all, things that are not toxic to your body. So what a lot of companies do, they actually, get these ingredients, they put them in the proteins, and they can actually sell it, for, 40 grams of protein, 50 grams of protein. But the whole thing comes down to how much of those grams of protein are true protein. That's what it comes down to. So protein spiking, let's break it down real quick. So protein comes from amino acids. Amino acids come from nitrogen. Okay. The tests right now in the labs, unfortunately, they're not at the level where it can determine what kind of nitrogen it is. It can't differentiate where the protein's coming from. So that's where a lot of irregularities come in. A lot of companies can get away with it, can add stuff to proteins, and they send it to the labs. And then when, the labs, spit out a test and it says, hey, you know what, this protein has 40 grams of protein or 50 grams of protein or 60 grams of protein. And that's what companies can legally put on their product. And what happens is that since proteins are not FDA, it doesn't have to be FDA approved because it's a dietary supplements, and dietary supplements do not have to be FDA approved. They simply have to be FDA regulated, which just means that it's not going to kill you. Okay. They can produce the product. And what a lot of companies do is once they get, I don't want to say caught, but if they ever get in trouble or if there any litigation, what they do is they simply dump the name of the company and they rebrand the product under another labeling, another branding, and they run for months or years under that name. And then, if they get in trouble or any lawsuits or anything, they just dump the name and they rebrand it with something else. And they can continue to do this process because what they're really looking for is the bottom line. They're looking for what sells. Okay. The people producing the product, they just want to sell the product. I'm not saying that there's not good people out there that, truly care about their customers. There's companies, there's different companies. However, it's been done in the past. Yeah. Now, protein spiking has been reduced a lot because even though it's not FDA approved, it's still got a lot of eyes on it, on the industry of weightlifting, of bodybuilding. The popularity of bodybuilding has just increased due to social media, and that's something that we can maybe touch on another time. But bodybuilding was not that popular in the past. It was popular, but it wasn't mainstream. That's what I was looking for. It wasn't mainstream, but social media really blew it up. You have influencers now, you have YouTubers, you have all these people, countless people. There's actually the top 5 things to do on Instagram to be an influencer. One of those is health and wellness, fitness. Okay, there's cosmetics, there's how to make money. There's 5 different categories out of the top 5, and out of the top 5, one of those is health and wellness, fitness. So you see all these guys coming out on Instagram, on YouTube, teaching you how to work out, teaching you about protein, teaching you about different things. So social media has really made the industry of bodybuilding, of weightlifting, of fitness a lot more mainstream. So there's just a lot more eyes on it. So companies cannot get away with as much as they used to in the past. So it's not as bad anymore. Okay, if a company's going to produce a product, it's got to be a good product, or at least something that's going to hold on to the market. Yeah. Okay.
We'll get back to which is great points, man, and you're absolutely correct. I catch myself sometimes looking at Instagrams and learning from there, and YouTubing and looking at these college coaches, and it helps. Social media helps. We'll get back to the protein and explain a little bit more detail besides that protein spiking. Let's get into lifting. What should kids know about lifting? Or, how to do it correctly? What kind of do they do the bro split? What kind of splits?
Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
Perfect. I'll start with the very beginning, safety first. Okay. And that's something that's going to come out of my mouth every single time because I am a personal trainer, used to do it back in the day. So safety first, man. Remember, fitness is a journey. It's a marathon. It's not a quick sprint. Okay. So this is something that you only have one body. So it's better to be able to take your time and slowly gain and transform rather than try to cheat your way and cut corners, especially when it comes to body lifting and to body weights and, and body transformation. Cutting corners and trying to speed up the process incorrectly is never the way to go. So safety first. Always stretch when you're going to start working out. Take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to stretch before. I see these guys going to the gym and literally coming out of the car and going directly and picking up the weights. In my mind, I'm like, you have not even warmed up your body. I mean, you're shocking your body. And how long can you do that? Because the name of the game to transform your body is consistency. You need to be consistent. If you go to the gym once a week, once a month, once every 2 months, you're not going to get the results. I'd rather you go a little bit every single day than go one time and go hard. You go hard as hard as you can one day a week, and then you're sore the rest of the week. You're injured. You can't go, and you're like, man, I got to recover. And then you go again the next week. You do the same thing. You go, you go crazy. You try to max out every single time. You burn yourself out, and then you got to recover for another 2 weeks. It's not going to work. Man. So first of all, stretch. You get a good stretch in. I'm 35 years old now, man. I spend at least 15 minutes stretching pre-workout and about 10, 15 minutes post-workout. It's extremely important. You need to be able to stretch. Okay, after you stretch, after you're good, safety first, always be mindful of your weight. Okay, it's always form over weight. That's my second piece of advice. Form over weight every single time. If you look at Kai Green is one of the most popular bodybuilders. He's competed in Mr. Olympia. He was Phil Heath's nemesis. He's competed for the last couple of years. Yes, Mr. Olympia. Has always come short, but it's funny because this guy is huge. If you Google him, I mean, you're watching this, you probably know who he is, but Kai Green, Kia, last name Green, like Google him, you'll see this guy is huge, and he's at the gym, and there's this, he has a YouTube video where he goes up to this who's smaller than, and the guy that's smaller is trying to lift more weight, and Kai Green's like, no, you gotta, he gets to 25-pound dumbbells, and you're looking at this monster of a man, and he's just going slow and concentrating and just doing the curl and just, putting his pinky and making that peak. When he does that, he's like, slow and easy, man, less weight, get it there. And then you add more weight. So form over weight. It doesn't matter if you're lifting 100 pounds and you're doing it correctly, you're not going to get anywhere. But if you're lifting, 35 pounds and you're doing it correctly, you're going to get more results. Right. So it's all about, be mindful of that. So those are my two biggest tips, man. Safety first, stretch, and, form over weight. Always form over weight. Start adding weight without sacrificing form. The day you start sacrificing form, okay, you're going too heavy. That means that you need to strengthen up so that you can get there. Obviously, there's going to be that little buffer where you're going to lose a little bit of form because it's just a lot of weight, once you get there. Okay. So you're going to sacrifice a little bit, but you're already at the peak. Okay. Yeah. So that's the point. Yeah.
Nice. So, and it's funny you mentioned that because sometimes I feel like in this situation with you being here is hopefully some of my athletes hear this from someone else, because that way they know that it's not just me telling them every time. And oh man, they get so upset. I'm like, I tell them, I need you to take some weight off. The music's pounding, like, take some weight off. Because they're just trying to, and their form, especially with the deadlift and the power clean, when we go into power clean, it's like those compound movements. It's like, hey guys, I need you to be able to do 10 to 12 reps. This 4 rep stuff, come on. And but I'm glad that way, not only is it Coach Mendez, we got a personal trainer here, that certified personal trainer, that's the same thing. Safety first, form is more important than the actual weight you're lifting.
And that happens a lot, Rudy. That happens a lot because it's what they call cattle mind mentality. Okay, since all the guys are together when they're in the team, you know, you got 4, 5, 6 guys together in the gym. So they're always, I mean, testosterone flies. You want to be the alpha. You're, you know, that silverback, you know, gorilla trying to pound your chest, and you're always trying to go bigger and badder than all your buddies. I get it.
No one says it. And no one says it.
I was 16, 17, 18, 19 myself as well. I understand that. I'm 35 now. Who cares what your buddies think? Just form overweight. You're going to be stronger. You're going to be cleaner. Your core is going to be tighter. I mean, you're going to more balanced. So just, you know, if everybody just gets on the same page, you know, it's going to be a lot better.
You know, yeah, for sure. You mentioned something about soreness, and a few years back, you know, I've already in my mind, and I have a really good friend of mine, Phil Jansen, over there in San Antonio. He does a lot of speed training, strength training. He has his own little speed training facility.
What's it called?
You know what? I don't even know. I don't even know the name of his facility, but it's Phil Jansen. He's developed some of the best athletes there in San Antonio, coming out, going to college. Very successful. That's the very first time I learned. The statement I'm going to make is, he goes, just because you're sore, that doesn't mean you worked out, man. That just means you haven't worked out in a while. He goes, because if you work out every day consistently, your muscles get used to it. You're not going to be sore. The soreness is just a little shock, like the acid buildup. After 2, 3, 4 days, you're fine, you know? And actually, I had a guest here the other day, and he talked about being sore. And I said, oh, wait a minute. That's a misconception. You know, how am I on the right track here? Can you reiterate?
Oh, you're absolutely right. And I'll tell you this, man, this is a personal trainer secret. Get them sore on their initial visit, because people think that soreness equals that they had a good workout, when it doesn't. So when I was personal training, I used to have, obviously, people would come in and they do a walkthrough, and they want to, so you give them a free session, you know. So I was like, give them a little free so that they buy your package. So I would always start with stretching, you know, light exercise, you know, and then they wouldn't buy my package. They would never hire me, you know, or the majority of people when I started. And one of the other trainers, I saw that he got somebody that came in, and he immediately started going real heavy with them and everything. And I was over here, and I was like, hey man, like afterwards, I didn't bother him. Of course, I didn't interrupt him, but afterwards I was like, hey man, I think you're going too hard on that guy. That guy seemed like he hasn't worked out in a long time, and you're going really hard on him. Don't you think that you should start him with some stretching, some easy, you know, you don't want to hurt him? And he goes, that's where you're wrong, man. Why am I the top seller here? And I was like, I don't know. And he goes, because they go home and they're sore as hell, man. And when they're sore as hell,
for 2-3 days,
and they're like, oh my God, instead of thinking that trainer overtrained me and he doesn't know what he's doing, they think that guy's good. I'm sore. Yeah. So they associate soreness with you being a good personal trainer, which is completely wrong. So I would tell people, so he told me, look, Ivan, if you want to do it right, do what you're doing. If you want to make money, make them go home sore. And I was like, hey, you know, brothers got to eat. So, after that, I started, I mean, working them hard, and my sales started going higher because people would hire me because, oh my God, Ivan knows what he's doing, because I was sore for 3 days. When in my mind, I'm like, you're not supposed to. I'm supposed to take it easy on you, but I got to, after you hire me, then I start correcting it and doing it right, you know? But I mean, it just happens.
It's funny because, so my little brother, Ruben, I think I was in college. I came down for the summer. I said, hey, Ruben, let's go work out with me. He's never liked working out, right? Yeah. So, and I think it's part of the story I'm telling right now is probably I made him not want to work out. So, you know, I'm in college, I'm in the fraternity, I'm in sports, so I got to get in shape during the summer, go back to play some flag football. Hey, Ruben, let's go work out. I think it was like a junior going to the senior year or something like that. So we work him out, and I'm used to working out. So he just doing everything I'm doing, and the very next day, his whole upper body is like, I can't move. I was like, hey, that's real good, man. That your muscles, you're sore. That means we worked you out real good. Me not knowing the science, I know now, I would have never had him work out with me like that. I'm like, hey, let me do my 3 sets. You do maybe 1 set, light, get your range of motion, work on your form, and then, you know, we'll build up to that. Yeah. But, you know, and maybe that's why he didn't like working out after that, because he just hated the feeling I gave it for a whole week, man. It's tough.
Yeah. And that's why we go back to the 90 days. Any challenge that you're here, independently of any company, that you're going to talk to, they usually go with a 90-day challenge. Why? Because that allows your body enough time to properly see results. That's why when we did the 4 Life Challenge, it's a 90-day challenge, 30, 60, 90 days. Because the first 30 days, your body's getting used to it. It's shock. It's something new. The next 60 days, you're getting a little bit more acclimated. And the last 90 days, especially the last 3 weeks, is when you really start seeing those results. Okay. Right. So that's why we talk about that 90-day window, to be able to see those results.
Right. Before we get into, I'm going to ask you about what's your routine look like, right, in the splits. Yeah. Before we get into that, you mentioned the 90 days. I respect people's hustle. I really do. And one time my cousin tried to, with one of our products, and I said, come on, I can't believe, respect. But the one thing I do that really drives me nuts from being in the health and knowing and understanding all these things that I know now is the 21-day challenge. Oh, man, I'm just like, no, guys. It's like, no, that's not the way to do it. But you know what? Hey, I don't reach out. Everybody has the right to do whatever they want. But I'm just like, oh, I wish I could just help everybody. But, we all have our own perspectives, whatever it may be. Either way, let's not keep going on that one. Let me just make the one that mentions that. Give us your daily routine and a little bit about your weekly. What do your splits look like? Maybe when you're full at it, and maybe like when you're traveling, like let's give.
Yeah, definitely. So in a perfect week, the way that I would like to do it is work out or lift 5 days a week, rest 2. Okay, you do need rest. So what I like to do is I like to start off my week on Monday with chest day. Okay. And, Mondays is National Chest Day. It's always, if you always start the week off with chest because it's one of your biggest muscles, it just sets your body up for success. So when you do chest is your primary muscle and your triceps are your secondary muscle. Okay. So I'll tell you like how I do it. Like a push. And I'll tell you how I do it. And then I'll tell you how you can start combining it. So I'll break it down real quick. Monday, I do chest. Okay. And I do cardio every day. That's just me because I'm a mesomorph. Okay, so I'm in the middle. Okay, I'm not extremely thin. Okay, but I'm not by any means. Yeah, exactly. So I'm more of a mesomorph. So I'm somebody that's going to be, I do need to watch what I eat because genetically I don't have the best genes. My family. I don't have the best genes, so I got to work for everything I got. There's people that just have it a little bit easier, and there's people that have it a little bit harder. So I like to do cardio every single day. Okay.
Before or after the workout?
After. If you're gonna lift, it's always after. If you're gonna lift weights, it's always after. Otherwise, you're gonna deplete your energy storage and your strength. You're gonna be burnt out by the time you lift. So if you're gonna lift, if you're gonna do resistance training, always do cardio afterwards, immediately afterwards. So on Monday I'll do chest. On Tuesday I'll do back. On Wednesday I do legs. That way I can split my body, my upper body and my lower body. I do legs on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, I do shoulders and traps. And on Fridays, I do bis and tris because it's, Friday. So you might go out. So you want to have the guns ready to go. So I do Friday, I do my arms. And I rest Saturday and Sunday. Okay. That's on a good model week for me. Okay. And I do cardio every single day. If you want to combine days, and if you don't have that much time and you want to be able to combine days, you can always superset. You could do a couple of supersets, throw them in there. A superset, for that person that doesn't know, is when you combine different workouts together. So you'll do immediate workouts, more of a hit training. Okay. So that's what I like to do. So I'll do
interval training.
Exactly. So I'll either do chest and triceps on one day, then I'll do back and bi on the other day, because when you do back, your biceps are your secondary muscle. And now one day I'll do legs, and the other day I'll do arms. Okay. So I can actually combine it in 3 to 4 days, and I can reduce that time. That's usually what I do when I'm traveling. Okay. You did mention about traveling. So when you're going to travel, you obviously, I hope that you know when you're going to travel, so you can plan ahead. So what I like to do is I always like to do legs before I travel. Okay. Doesn't have to be immediately the day before I travel, but I like to get it in before. Why? Because if you go to when you travel, what they hotels have what they call corporate gyms, and corporate gyms are not going to go over 50-pound weights, and they're usually not going to have
Cable.
any leg machines. If anything, they might have a leg extension, and that is it. So I want to be able to get my leg workout before I travel. You know, if I'm traveling, I'm at a hotel or I'm out, you know, what I can do is I could do something like chest, you know, because even though they only go to 50 pounds, you could do higher repetitions, lower weight, you know, do push-ups. There's a lot more things that you can do. Okay. So that's what I like to do. I like to do legs before I go, and shoulders, because shoulders does take a lot of different cable machines and different workouts that you can do at like when you travel a lot. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm
So,
listening. It's just that I heard something outside, but no, it's just my wife out there. Go
oh,
ahead.
that's cool.
My bad.
Cool. So, I mean, that's kind of the split that I like to do, man.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
I think when it comes to splits, it's at the high school level. I think it gets a little tricky
Yeah.
because of the athletic period. You got to work on the sport, stuff like that. So I know
Yeah.
we talk a lot about, focus more on your sport during the athletic period, and hopefully most of your athletes stay after school and work Monday through Friday on their splits, right?
Yeah.
I
And it
know.
also depends on what sport you're playing. It really does depend. What I told you right now is just for physique, for bodybuilding, just to
Right.
build muscle, for aesthetics. What I told you right now has nothing to do with performance.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
just to look.
complete.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Completely
it's
different.
completely
Yeah.
different. Completely different.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is, I mean, I don't play any sports competitively, so I'm not out there trying to get faster, trying to jump higher. Okay.
Right.
So yeah,
It's a little
you listen
different.
to your coaches. It's a little different. If anybody saw the Last Dance, the documentary with Michael Jordan,
Mm.
he mentions that he used to train a certain way for basketball, and then he had to switch his training for baseball.
Yeah.
Okay, and then once he came back to basketball, he had to switch his training again because his basketball training, I mean his baseball training, was not adequate for his basketball training. So it
Right.
depends what you're doing as well. So I mean, I know football players that do legs twice a day because they need that explosiveness,
Yeah.
and they like to focus on that a little bit more squats, more, just more of the lower body workouts. That's fine as well. It just depends, what kind of what performance you're trying to get out of your body as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been seeing that you're more into the physique, the bodybuilding, getting big, getting cut all at the same time. What kind of splits, sets, reps? What does that look like in your full week? Because most college kids, high school kids, boys, they're at home. They have the whole week.
Yeah. Yeah, split it up by muscle groups. I don't usually like to do whole body workouts. That's just me personally. Because when you're looking at somebody on stage, for example, that they're competing at, they're bodybuilders, when they're on stage, they're at their weakest point. People think that, oh my God, they look so strong. That's actually when they're at their weakest point. They're depleted. They've drained their body. They're, I mean, they don't drink water for, about a day before they get on stage, so a couple hours before they get on stage. So it just really depends on what you're looking for. So you need to be able to break up your muscle groups and focus, really look at yourselves. Everybody's different. So some people can grow a muscle group easier than other people. I have a friend that has just a massive chest. He works it out a little bit and he gets it defined. He doesn't really have to push too much for it. Okay. But he's got smaller legs. And it doesn't matter how much he does calves, his calves just will not grow. Okay,
Right.
naturally, they just will not grow. They'll grow a little bit, but they refuse to grow. And then you have other people that have massive legs, man. They just lift a little bit, and they have massive legs. For example, me, it's my chest and my quads. My chest and my quads. I can go light on those, and they'll still look big. Okay, I can still get that fullness. Okay,
Right.
but people have different bodies. That's why gyms have mirrors. Okay, that's why when you see bodybuilders, they work out a little bit and then go to look at themselves in the mirror because they're identifying, okay, some areas, and there's so many angles and you need to see what you look like, and then be able to work on that area more. That's really what the mirrors are there for. But
Right.
obviously then after that it just became a joke and people kind of just say, if you're just looking yourself in the mirror. But back in the day, bodybuilders, that's what they would assess their progress look at their areas of opportunity, and then focus on those. So I know people that have that have trouble breaking their frame, their back. Okay.
Yeah.
So they'll focus on the back, and they'll do their back twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, sometimes, because they need to focus on that. Okay. As opposed to somebody else who just naturally has a wide back and they don't really have to work too much on it. So it just really depends that you need to assess your body when you're looking at aesthetics. Okay. What you're looking like. I know a guy that has huge arms, just naturally. He doesn't really have to work too much on his biceps. They just look big. Okay. So if you're looking at aesthetics, first you got to see what you're working with. You got to look at yourself. And if you're lacking a lot on, on arms, then that's what you got to focus on. Okay. So that's the areas that you need to look at. If I'm going to split it up, I like to, thank God I'm pretty proportionate, everywhere. I'm not a tall guy. You know me, I'm 5'7". So if you're a little bit shorter, your biceps don't need too much work because the muscle's not as elongated as guys that are longer, guys that are taller. Okay. Their muscle stretches out more. So it's going to look, not as bulky or as defined. Okay. So maybe they want to focus on their upper body. So it just depends on what you're working with at the beginning.
Yeah. So I guess, you said you go do chest, back, legs, and then your shoulders, and then biceps, triceps on Fridays. What does it look like? Give us a rundown of what kind of sets how many sets, how many reps? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I do 8, 10, 12. I do 8, 10, 12. Yes. So I'll do 8 reps. I do 3 sets. I usually do 3 to 4 sets. Okay. I always start off with 4 sets. Okay. And I do the first 2 exercises. I do 4 sets, and the last 3 exercises or 4 exercises, I'll do 3 sets. Okay. And I'll do I'll do 8 reps, 10 reps, and then 12 reps. If it's a muscle group that I can really feel squeezing, or that I want, when you're in the moment, you're listening to music, adrenaline's going, testosterone's up, I might go a little bit more, and I might do maybe 15 reps, in a set. So it just depends on what motion it is. And one exercise might not be the same for another person. And you probably heard this before, I just don't feel it. And if somebody else will say, oh, I feel it really well. So maybe you like that exercise rather than another exercise that targets the same muscle group.
Right.
So that's when consistency really matters, because if you don't go consistently, you're not going to be able to identify what feels best for you. Okay. And maybe you're doing lat pulls down, and you're a guy that feels it well when you're doing the V bar. Okay. Yeah. You're going to feel that squeeze, and somebody else might not feel it too well, but they feel it better with the ropes. Okay. If they use the ropes, they feel it. Okay. But if you have that consistency, you're going to be able to identify which one you like best. Okay. They're working the same area, the same muscle group, but maybe using the different tool is going to help you. Exactly. Hand placement, everything's going to matter. One thing,
your body comes into play.
Exactly. Your body comes into play. Ask questions, man. If you see somebody, it's the eye test. If you see somebody like what it look like, that something, or you have questions, I guarantee you, if you go up and you ask them, 99.9% of the guys are not going to mind. They're going to be like, yeah, man, no problem. If you're genuinely trying to seek information, you'll find it at the gym. Okay. And this is one thing that I learned with this guy that had, really defined, really good legs. I went up to him and I was like, hey, man, how are you doing the V squat? And he said, oh, it's all about the foot placement. Okay. Because I said, hey, man, we're about the same size. But God, man, you could just lift so much more weight, and he goes, oh, well, I was like, I was seeing you had your feet straight. That puts a lot of pressure on your knees. Okay. If you open them up and you open your legs a little bit wider, you're going to have more range of motion. You can go deeper and you can push more weight. I tried it, and in fact, I was able to. Yeah. So it's just making small adjustments. Okay. Really goes a long way. If you really think when you're lifting, think about your breathing. If you think about your breathing, that has a lot to do with it. Think of a car. When you put a K&N filter in there and you just allow more air to go in, the air intake, your car goes faster. Same with you. If you stand up straight, you breathe in, you have more oxygen going. Oxygen it's going into your veins. Okay, you're going to be able to lift a little bit more. I'm not saying a lot more, but you're going to be able to lift a little bit more, last a little bit longer, as opposed to if you have a bad form, if you're not breathing correctly. So But a lot of times we don't think about that. We go to the gym, we start listening to music, our mind starts trailing.
Yeah.
We start doing this a lot between sets. Okay. And you don't think, I mean, stop doing this so much, guys, and do a rep, and think about how you felt. Was I able to really peak on that? Could I have gone maybe one or two more? What could I have done? And then make the adjustments. And it's a lot better if you really think about a 45 to an hour minute workout, as opposed to an hour and a half, 2 hours when you're on your phone, you're doing other things, you're distracted. So
right. No, I'm one of those guys that right after every set, I mean, I get on my phone right away, but I get on my phone because I track. Like I have an app that every day my workout. Okay, bench press. Okay, how many sets? How many reps did I get in? What was the weight? And it gives me graphs. I mean, it's very neat, man. And COVID happened. I was looking forward to my usual April, May, June, July workouts, but then COVID, and then I went for a month, and then my wife, the spike hit here, so I had to stop. But yeah, I've told some of the guys that some of the ex-students that I see them, like, hey, dude, you got to check out this app. Like, I see you working out. This is what I've learned. Stuff that we're talking about, but get on your phone, track. When you track stuff, and I think at this point we all understand we got to lift. We got to keep track. The splits, depending on how you're talking about, everybody's a little different. Can you give us a routine of your daily nutrition? What time do you eat? What kind of things do you eat? Maybe 2-3 days.
Yeah, for sure. So I always start, one of my biggest meals is always in the morning for me. I'm a morning guy. I wake up early, and obviously I have kids, so I wake up, even earlier. So my first meal, I like to do it anywhere between 7:30 and 8 a.m. Okay. I'm up a lot earlier, but I got to take my daughter to daycare, and then I got to come and help my wife with our other kid. So I like to get my breakfast in, kind of early. And what I do is I do 4 egg whites with bell peppers, spinach, and a little bit of hot sauce on top. And I do a bowl of oatmeal. I put a little bit of non-fat Greek yogurt on that. And then I'll toss in 2 to 3 strawberries, a couple blueberries, and a little bit of granola. Okay, so that's a big breakfast. Okay,
I just started eating oatmeal because I had to find a way to give my kids a semi-healthy breakfast with their cereal. So I'm like, hey, wait a minute, if I mix the oatmeal and I mix the cereal, it's not that bad. So I was like, well, there's oatmeal here, so I'm gonna eat oatmeal. Why not? So it's pretty neat that by default I'm eating oatmeal.
Yeah, man, it's good. It's good, and I always go for the plain stuff. Okay.
Yeah, I do. I get the plain stuff, the flavor. They get it from the cereal.
Yeah, from the cereal, exactly. Cereal. Yeah. So, that's my breakfast in the morning. And I do drink, I'm a coffee guy. I do like coffee. So I'll drink two cups of coffee. I don't do more than that. I do 2 cups of coffee, black, no creamer, no milk, no sugar, nothing. Just 2 cups of black coffee. So that's in the morning. But before all this, actually, I drink about half to 3/4 of a bottle of water. I have it next to my bed. When I wake up, I drink that because I don't like going straight into coffee as my first liquid that I'm taking. I like to do, water, and that's what I drink on the way to daycare, drop off my daughter, drink on the way back. So I'm already, have fluids in my body, and then I eat my breakfast. And then I do 3 to 3.5 hours later. So I eat every 3 to 3.5 hours. Okay. So I try to get in 5 meals a day. I mean, 6 would be ideal. But right now, since I'm not, I can't really work out as much as I used to, because of the pandemic. I'm not going to the gym right now because I got little kids and I don't want to risk it. So I'm working out from home a lot, but obviously I'm home. I'm limited with what I have, but I still do it, but I'm just limited. So I do about 4 to 5 meals. If I do 4 meals, I do 4 meals and I do a snack. If I do 5 meals, it's just 5 meals. So my first meal, I already walked you through it. My second meal, I keep it simple, man. I'll do a protein. It could be either 8 ounces of chicken, or it could be salmon, or it could be ground turkey, or it could be lean ground beef. Okay, so that's my protein, and then I do a complex carb, which in my case, a lot of times it only varies. It's either brown rice or I do quinoa. Okay, those are 2 really grains that I eat, and then I do broccoli. I keep it pretty simple, to be honest with you, but I'm the kind of guy that can eat the same thing over and over and over and over. Okay. There's people that don't. If you want to take a little bit more liberty with it, if you want to add a little bit more, do it on your sauce. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe get a little salt and just drizzle a little bit on it.
Change the
Don't
flavor.
drench it. Yeah, don't drench it. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So just do a little bit of that. And then I go by meals. So that's meal 2. Meal 3, I usually do the same thing. And meal 4, I usually do the same thing, brother. When I cook, when I meal prep, because I still do that. I've been meal prepping since 2007. I meal prep
really?
and I just put them in the fridge. So I'll cook for like 2.5 to 3 days out. Okay.
Yeah.
So that way, when I get hungry, I don't have to think about it. Because what happens a lot of times is it's not that guys don't want to eat healthy, it's that they're not prepared. So if you're not prepared, there's a saying that I really like that says victory loves preparation. If you don't prepare, you're not going to have victory. Right. So if I have the food ready in the fridge, I don't have to think about it. Time comes, I'm hungry, open the fridge, pop out the Tupperware, a minute and a half, 2 minutes, ready to go. But a lot of times what happens is guys, they don't prepare and then they go to the fridge, and that's when lack of food, they say, well, I gotta eat this or I gotta eat that. And they compromise what they're eating because they didn't prepare.
It's easier to compromise.
Easier.
Yeah. I
see exactly.
What you're saying. I see what
you're exactly. Saying. And or they'll go to a fast food restaurant and they'll order out. Okay.
Yeah.
And I order out too. I go to fast food restaurants, man, but I know what to eat at every restaurant. For example, I like Chick-fil-A, so I'll go and I'll get the Cobb salad. I get Cobb salad, but I switch out the nuggets for grilled nuggets. Okay, and I get the fat-free honey mustard. Okay, so that's better. So I do that. Little things, you make little switches. I'll go to Chipotle. I'll get a little bit of rice, black beans. I'll get my protein. I'll get chicken, and then I'll get corn, and then I'll get avocado, which is my good fat.
Yeah.
Okay. But I won't get the sour cream, or I won't get the cheese on it. Okay. So those little things, if you start making those little changes, you can definitely you get a long way, man. Yeah. A long way. It goes a long way. Yeah. It goes far.
For sure. Man. Nice. I like it, man. It's I think at this point in time, most people know that it's 80% nutrition, and that's the biggest challenge. I mean, I'm a guy that, I know it, and it's just, I'm not disciplined. That bottom line, and that's most of America, I guess. Let's talk about protein. Let's dive into explain our ProTF product. You're a lot more well-versed than I am, a lot more practice. We already talked about protein spiking. What else? Because, see, I had a good buddy of mine. I had a good friend of mine. And when I introduced the protein, he's like, the gold standard. The gold standard. And I said, look at the numbers. And I mean, I wasn't well-versed at the time. I had just come out. I didn't know about protein the way you do it, personal training, all that. Over the course of time, he's learned, and he actually ended up creating his own account for 4Life. So that was pretty cool. He knows about the transfer factor molecule, stuff like that. But protein, explain to us why we are, if not the best company, the protein in the market.
Perfect. Great. I'm going to use that transition that we just ended up the last conversation to transition to the protein. You said that a lot of Americans do not have the discipline to actually change their eating habits and start working out. So knowing this, 4Life made their pilot studies on the protein with people without changing their eating habits and without, adding an exercise routine.
Oh, really?
Okay?
I didn't know
because,
that. Nice.
Because they knew that the majority of people are not going to do it. So they said, okay, so we need to be able to make a product that's still going to work, and as a personal trainer, I always like to tell you, I mean, come on, just work out 3 times a week or something, go out and walk and, try to make better decisions when you're eating, and the product's going to work. But the company actually made the product with having in mind that people are not going to eat correctly or at an exercise routine. The people that they chose to do the pilot studies, okay, they had them in a controlled environment, and they told them, don't change what you're eating, don't change anything. And these people had just a regular, not a regular, but just a traditional diet. They would eat, just whatever they wanted. Just a guy that would eat whatever he wanted. So, and it still worked. They still lost weight. So the protein works, man. Okay. So why is this the best protein on the market? And I'll tell you exactly why. And this is just my personal opinion. not my only my personal opinion, but also backed up with facts. Okay, because For Life Research is the leading immune system company in the world. We are a lab. Okay, we are a research facility. We actually do everything in house. We have over 14 scientists that are every single day working on the products. Okay, so For Life, the ProTF, first of all, it's known as a fast protein. So there's different kinds of proteins. Okay, so there's different qualities. Okay, levels of qualities. You have your concentrated protein, you have your isolate protein, and then you have your hydrolyzed isolate protein.
Yeah.
Okay, so it goes by level. So it just depends what you're getting. Okay, and obviously the price goes associated with which level you're getting, and all it means is that the protein is being filtered. Okay, at a deeper level. Okay, so it's more purified. It's a better quality protein. That's what it means by the different levels. So if you're drinking a protein that's a concentrate protein, your body is only really able to absorb about 60 to 65% of it. Okay. And then if you pay a little bit more and you get an isolate protein, okay, then you're going to be able to consume, or your body's going to be able to process about 75 to 78%. And then if you get a hydrolyzed isolate protein, then you're going to be able to anywhere between 86 to 98%. You're never going to be 100% because I mean your body can't intake 100%. It's always going to be able to process a little bit of it out. So it just depends what kind of protein you're getting, what quality of protein you're getting. So our protein is a hydrolyzed isolate protein. So it's the best quality in the market.
The best quality in the market.
The best quality. Nice. Now, are we the only ones? No. There's other proteins that are hydrolyzed isolate proteins. They are. Okay. So I used to actually take one called Isopure. Okay. That's a good
product. I've heard that name before.
Yeah. ISO 100. It's a good protein, man. It's a good protein. I'm not going to knock it off and say it's a bad protein. But if I was to compare the ProTF with a good protein like that one, this one has higher, more milligrams of BCAAs, which is branched chain amino acids. Yeah. Now, for those people that, especially the young guys that, want to be able to build muscle group or build muscle mass, there's two groups of people that they did the study on. One group of people that they gave the protein that was a hydrolyzed isolate protein, and the other group that they gave the hydrolyzed isolate protein with BCAAs. And they saw that in the same amount of time, the group that actually had the BCAAs was able to grow double the size in muscle mass as a group that did not take the BCAAs, which are the branched chain amino acids. So obviously, if you have a protein that has a higher concentration of BCAA, you have a higher chance of able to grow more muscle mass.
Yeah.
Okay. And using the gold standard, this one has more BCAAs than the gold standard. It has more BCAAs than the Isopure 100. It's got more BCAAs than the 100 whey protein by Gold's Gym as well. Okay. So it has more BCAAs than those, first of all. Okay. It also has more amino acids, regular amino acids. And it also has a higher percentage of digestibility, which I was, informing you that the higher quality has a higher percent of digestibility. So this one has a digestibility of 96%. That means that from everything that you're consuming, your body can actually absorb almost 100%. It's absorbing about 96%. So if you look at this logically, our protein has 20 grams of protein per portion, per serving. Okay, 20 grams. One serving is 2 cups. Okay, so it's 2 little cups of these. I'll show you the size of it. I actually have it here. So, okay, so this is our little cup. Okay,
so that scoop right there, one of those scoops is 10 grams. You put
10 grams.
But you put 2 of these. That's one serving. Got it.
Yeah, 2 of these is one serving. Okay, so this has 140 calories. Okay, so each has 70 calories. So 140 calories per serving. Has 20 grams of protein. It's got your BCAAs, your branched chain amino acids. This protein also has MCTs, which is medium chain triglycerides. Okay, as opposed to long chain triglycerides. Now, there's no science behind this. They haven't really been able to prove this yet. Not just us, but just anybody, that MCTs actually help with body fat, depletion, which burning fat. However, every time fat's being burnt, MCTs are around. It's kind of like the guy that's in the party that they don't know who invited him, but every time he's around, the party's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of like that. Think about it like that. Your MCTs are the guys that are always around when there's fat being burned, but they can't really say it's them. You know what I mean?
I see.
But it's you're gonna have your MCTs in here. Your medium chain triglycerides.
Medium chain triglycerides. MCT.
Triglycerides.
I didn't know
MCTs.
that, man. Nice.
Yeah. So that's in this protein as well. It's lactose free. So anybody that tells me, hey, you know what, I can't do the protein, I can't do whey protein because I'm lactose intolerant. My son is lactose intolerant as well. He consumes a protein. He's 11 years old. I used to give it to him when he was even younger. Okay, obviously, you know, I used to give him a little bit less, not the full serving, but I would give him a little bit less, and he loved it. He was able to process it perfectly fine, no issues. Okay, it's also gluten free. So anybody that has any gluten allergies, you can also consume the protein. It's also this is a neat little new addition. I don't know if you've seen on this side right here. It says the 2-1-1. That's the ratio, okay, of BCAAs, the 2-1-1. Okay, what that means is that it's 2 protein to every 1 carb. Okay, so that's great. That's great. That's awesome. That means that you always want to do that because just take a little tangent on this. A lot of times people think that granola bars are good. They're like, oh, I'm gonna get a granola bars. Dude, those are some of the worst things that you can eat, man. Granola bars are stuffed with sugars, and the ratios. That's really the ratios. And you know who taught me about the ratios? My wife did. My wife. We went grocery shopping, and man, you don't want to go grocery shopping with a registered dietitian. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go, you'll learn a lot, you know, but everything, we turned it around. We're looking at the labels, and she said, you know, I got some of the protein bars, and I got some of the, you know, different, you know, granola bars. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to buy some of these. And she's like, the ratios are off. Okay. It's 1-2-2, or it's a 1-2 instead of being a 2-1. You always want to have more protein than carbs. Okay. So for example, if you have, you know, 10 grams of protein, you don't want to have more than 5 grams of sugar. Okay, that's a 2-1. Okay, so if you have 10 grams of protein and you have 20 grams of sugar, that's a 1-2. Okay, and that means that it's more sugar than the protein that you're consuming. Okay, so the ratios are off. So it really depends on what kind of ratios are in your foods. So if you're really trying to really look at the nutrition labels in the back, the nutrition facts, you're going to be able to find all that information out. So this one is a 2-1-1. Matt, that's amazing.
I'm glad you mentioned that granola bar stuff, because before I was knowledgeable, I was very, granola bar. And I mean, I used to, granola bar, so good for me, so good. And then I learned about sugar and the rate. I was like, wait a minute. And just cold turkey, no more granola. I'll eat once in a while when somebody offers it to me and I haven't eaten in a while, just get something in there. But I mean, I don't think I eat more than maybe 6 granola bars a year, man. You know, but I learned that knowledge. Some people are asking here. I know I take my vanilla protein with water by itself. I just put it in there, shake it. Almost, depending on the day, the time of day, I'm not too consistent. But when we're in school, I like taking my protein at 10 a.m. as my first meal of the day. Yeah. And then I take some more right before after school practice with my burn supplement. Yeah. Right. Someone's asking here, do you take it with water, milk, almond milk? How do you do it?
Perfect. That really depends on what's your goal. If you want to lose weight, I recommend water. Okay, so 1 serving with 8 ounces of water. Now, 8 ounces is perfectly fine. Now, we'll get into the consistency of it. If that's a little bit thick for you, which to me it's not, and to the majority of people it's not, it's perfectly fine. But if you like a little bit more liquidy, go to 10 ounces of water.
I do that.
Yeah. You like a little more liquidy? Yeah. Okay. I know some guys that like a little bit less, and they like it just thick, but
licuado.
I mean, but that's and
they want a malt.
They want a malt. I know, so that just depends. I don't like it too thick. I like it, medium to a little bit lighter because it's a protein. I like just drink it.
You just use water, or you ever mix it with milk, almond milk, or anything fancy like that?
I do water. Because I like to do it fast. Yeah. And usually I'll drink it, before the gym, or I'll drink it on the go. So I drink with water. Okay. So, but if you want to be able to drink with almond milk, you can do it with almond milk. Almond milk usually has only about 60 calories. So you can do almond milk, a serving of almond milk. And you can just drink it with that. Okay. Now, if you're replacing a meal, you can add more stuff to it. But just remember, if you're adding stuff to it, the calories are going to increase. It's not going to be 140 calories anymore. It's going to be a little bit more. Yeah. Okay. So you can add banana, you can add, different fruits, nuts, oats, grains, whatever you want to add it to it, you can, and it's going to be a complete meal. Okay. So it just depends what you like and what your goal is. If how to take it, for example, if you're trying to build muscle mass, what I suggest to do and what I always ask people is, what's your goal? Because you need to have a goal in mind. Because if you don't have a goal, you're already there. You can't say, hey, you know what, Ivan, I want to gain muscle mass. Great, I'll help you gain 1 pound and we, mission accomplished. But it's probably not your goal. You want to do, I don't know, 10, 15 pounds. Okay, great. So figure out what your goal is. Once you figure out what your goal is, multiply that by 1.33. I'll repeat that. Figure out what your goal weight is and multiply that by 1.33. So let's do the math real quick. For example, if I weigh 165 and I want to go up to 185, I'm going to multiply 185, which is my goal weight, by 1.33. That's going to give me 246 grams, okay, or 246. So that's the total amount of grams that I need to be consuming of protein a day to hit that, okay? Now, I always suggest don't go over 40% of that number, which is times 0.40, 98. Don't exceed 98 grams of just protein powder, okay? But it's going to be really hard to do that with protein. I mean, that you're going to be doing at least 3 or 4 shakes.
So you want the rest of the protein to come from food,
chicken,
from
food,
broccoli,
from
fish,
whole foods, exactly, except from whole foods. Okay, so don't overdo it on the protein. Okay, so maybe do 2 servings of protein a day. Pre-workout and post-workout. You could do it about 30 to an hour before you work out, and then I suggest you do it immediately after you work out, within that 30-minute window, which is also called your metabolic window. Consume it immediately right after you work out to replenish your muscles and really, give your body all those nutrients that you just, depleted yourself, your glycogen levels, all that you just, spent. Okay. Try to replenish those with the protein.
Okay. There's a question here. How many carbs does that have per serving? I know you talked about the 2-to-1 ratio. Is there more like a more in-depth number you have there? Okay.
The carbs, I'll read it off right here. 6 carbs, man. 6 grams of carbs
per serving.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
2 scoops.
Total sugars, less than 1.
Oh, no.
Less than 1. So that's what I really liked about it. Okay. So
I mean, I don't know this. I mean, I know most of the signs you just mentioned. Like I didn't know like verbatim I would never remember to talk about isolate, hydro isolate. Obviously, we have the best in the market because it's hydro isolated. Then we got the medium chain triglycerides, and the 2-to-1 ratio. I knew about the branch chain amino acids, things like that. But man, that's some pretty good information. So hopefully the viewers understand why. And it's whey protein, right? It's whey protein.
It's whey protein. Yeah, whey protein is king in the market, man. You're gonna have your whey protein. You're gonna have your casein protein for all those young cats out there that are thinking about casein protein. I only recommend casein protein if you're really thin, like I was. I told you I was 119, 120. I was really hard for me to gain muscle mass, so I had to cycle my proteins, do casein protein at night because it's a slow digesting protein. So I would digest it throughout the night, and that way my body was still getting, what it needed. And then during the day, I would switch over to whey protein, because if you do casein protein during the day, man, you're gonna have bubble gut the whole day. You're not gonna really be able to eat because it takes so long for your body to digest it. Okay, so I would do casein protein at night and then switch over to whey protein during the day. But it's just a slower digesting protein. Whey protein is king in the marketplace when you talk about proteins. It's better than your pea protein, your rice protein, your soy protein. There's so many places to get protein. Whey protein, in my opinion, is just the best that you can give your body.
Cool, man. And I'm glad you're sharing this information because you're a lot well versed in this stuff. I know that it works. I know it's great. Just so I'm going to make a comment, just so the viewers can hear it one more time. Because one of my biggest knocks is, well, you're not even strong? Or Rudy, what are the results? I'm like, dude, protein doesn't mean you're going to get ripped. Protein doesn't mean you're going to grow muscle. Protein, your body needs protein. To grow muscle and get ripped is you need a caloric deficit and you need to lift heavy weights to make the muscle grow. How close am I to being correct, Ivan?
You're absolutely correct. That's a question actually that a lot of ladies actually ask me. They tell me, Ivan, I don't want to take the protein because I don't want to get big muscles. And I'm like, if that was the case, you know how many guys would love taking the protein because they could just get muscle just taking the protein.
Yeah.
It's not. That's not the way it works. You know. In that case, it'd be somebody that eats, you know, chicken and eggs and
And
you
boom.
know steaks all day. They'll be huge, but that's not the way it works. If a guy eats steaks all the time, they're gonna have a big belly, you know, but you know because of all the fats, you know,
This
all the
guy.
cholesterol. But
This guy.
but then they're not gonna have the muscles. You need a resistance training. You
Yeah.
need your body through a resistance to be able to recover, and that recovery is where muscle is built. Because a lot of people are like, "Oh, I work out, I go to the gym to build muscle." No, you go to the gym to break muscle down. You build muscle and rest
Yeah.
while you rest.
The
That's why
recovery
it's lift,
phase.
eat, rest,
Yeah.
repeat. You
Yeah.
need to rest. When you're resting, that's when your muscle fibers, you know, are recovering, and that recovery is where your muscle says, "Hey, you know what? I got to recover a little bit stronger because Rudy's going to give me hell tomorrow again." Okay,
Yeah.
and then the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and that's how you start building that muscle.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're absolutely correct, man. It doesn't mean, you know, so if there's any ladies watching, any young girls or any ladies watching this, taking the protein is not going to make you bulk up and get muscles. It's going to tone you, and you're going to start losing, you know, sizes on your waist. I've had ladies that lost sizes on their
Oh yeah.
waist. You know, their clothes just fits better. They're a little bit more toned, but they don't get all the muscle and stuff. You need to have that resistance training to be able to get that type of body. If not, it'd be real simple, and a lot of guys will be walking around with six pack and biceps all day, you know, every
Man.
day.
Hey, I
Right?
take that protein. I don't
That's
have a
right.
six pack, man. But I know why it is. There's a caloric surplus. You know,
Yeah.
obviously. Hey, so you know, for the people that are gonna watch this, the distributors out there, let's go in about a good 20 minutes. Give us your journey on how. I mean, we already know how you got into lifting weights. You know, you know, you go to UTSA. The girl tells you, you start lifting. You become a personal trainer. How do you go about joining? Because see, your mom joined very early,
Very early. Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
you didn't.
No.
So go ahead and give us the story of Ivan Villanueva and how that came about. Because there's gonna be people who are gonna watch this for life.
Yeah, absolutely. So my mother was actually involved in For Life many, many years before I was. She actually tried reaching out to me, you know, when I was 20, 21 years old. But at that time, I was into, yeah, I was in college. I was into going out and girls and, you know, just having fun. And I just didn't have a good head on my shoulders. You know, I wasn't thinking straight as far as, you know, a business mindset. And I actually got turned onto the products because I was a personal trainer. You know, so I was recommending, you know, different kinds of proteins, different kind of products to a lot of people, and then my parents started introducing me to For Life, to the products, you know, and you know my father Angel, he said, hey, you know what, our products are they're not, at that time the Protein was not out yet, you know, they didn't really have a what's called an advanced, you know, body transformation line just yet. But, you know, I got sick one day, and that's when they introduced me, you know, to the products, and they say, hey, you know what, if you want to be consistent and, you know, give your body what it needs, you know, reinforce your body so that you know, you can, you know, not get sick. We say not get sick, but of course we never make any promises. We're not saying that you're never going to get sick, but
Right.
you just want to be able to maintain your immune system as strong and as healthy as possible so that you can continue to train every single day. You know, you need to be able to supplement yourself because the lifespan of cells is 90 days. I don't even knew that. It's about 90 days. So that's why when people say, do I need to continue taking the products the rest of my life? Well, yeah, because your body is in constant regeneration. Okay. It's
Right.
constantly dying and building new cells and dying and regenerating new cells. And the new cells don't have the immune system information in them yet. The older ones do. Okay. But not the new ones. So that's why you need to be taking the product, you know, every single day so that you can, you know, supply your cells with the immune system information that they need.
You know, my wife works in ICU and sees COVID every day, 4 different sections. Every day she takes her stuff in the morning before she leaves to work.
Yep, absolutely, man. My wife too, man. She works at the hospital. They turned her her unit into a COVID unit because they got, I mean, just kind of bled out into the rest of the
Yeah,
hospital.
yeah. No, every hospital is
So
going through the same thing, man. It's intense.
exactly, man. Exactly. So it's intense, man. So that you need to be able to maintain your immune system as strong as healthy as possible. So
Yeah.
I started consuming the products, and that's how I started getting into For Life. I started researching the products, and I'll be honest with you, I started researching the products so I could prove my parents wrong. You know, so I could prove
Yeah.
them wrong, and I could tell them, hey, you know what, that's not the best in the market. I started looking at the products, and everything that I started looking at, I was like, everything was good. It's all
Yeah.
science backed. It's all science based. It's all there's peer-reviewed journals, and there's, it gets on the PDR, it's in PubMed, everywhere you go. There's over 3,000 studies, independent studies, proving that transfer factor works. And then after I saw that, I couldn't find any negative information, and I was like, okay, great. So the products definitely work. I started consuming the products. I started seeing results in myself. And once I started seeing results in myself, and I started seeing that I could simply substitute or make the switch, of products that I was already consuming. For example, I'll give you a quick example. I was already consuming fish oil, my omega-3s, omega-6. I was already consuming that. And I just made the switch to a product called BioEFA, with CLAs, which is conjugated lactic acids, something that we have. I said, oh, this is a great product. It's a better quality product. Okay, so I was like, okay, why not consume a better quality product? Okay, I was already consuming glutamine, so I just switched over to Glutamine Prime, something that we also carry, one of the most underrated products that we have, man. Underrated product.
It really is. Man.
Underrated products, man. I'm telling you, if 4Life has an underrated product, it's Glutamine Prime. So I switched over to that. And then, once the protein came out, obviously I switched over to the protein. Then I started taking the Rio Vida, which is, for anybody that doesn't know, it's an antioxidant. It's a total body, it's called overall health and wellness.
But at this time, you still don't have an account. You're just getting it from your mom.
I was just getting it from my mom at that time. I'm just getting it from my mom. And at that time, she was like, hey, you know what? On my birthday, she actually got me an account. She got me an account, and she said, here you go. Will you want to use it? And I was like, okay, well, just, make me a little more independent. I can actually order my own products. So I started that way. I started ordering my own products. And then that's how I started. I started because of the products. And then once I graduated college, I was 24 years old. They actually came to my graduation. I walked the stage at UTSA, got my diploma. My goal was to be able to work, corporate, somewhere here in San Antonio, or even move,
college kid dream. The college kid dream.
That's the blueprint that we all have.
Work in the office.
Work in the office. I wanted to be in the cube farm. I wanted a corporate job, a 9 to 5, weekends off, because I told you, man, nobody gave me anything. I was working 2 jobs while I was going to school, while I was going to college. Now I did retail. I'm working retail. It's nights, weekends, holidays, long hours, and I could never really go out with my friends because my friends would always go out on the weekends. And I was giving a lot of responsibility at a very young age. I was actually given the keys to retail stores at the mall. So I'd have to close the store down. I was a manager. I was a manager at 18 years old, man. I was a manager at 18 years old running, in the Valley. Actually, I was a manager in the Valley, or I was being trained. I was in the MIT program, in the manager and training program at the American Eagle in the Valley, which was at that point the highest grossing American Eagle in the company. And to have keys to the highest producing store in the company, at that point at such a young age, was a lot of responsibility. And then I moved to San Antonio because I got promoted. So I got, positioned at La Cantera at the mall here, and I got keys to that store. So I always had a lot of responsibility. So I could never really go out with my friends on the weekends or anything, because since I was a young guy, I always got the worst shifts. I always had to open during the weekends, and I always had to close during the weekends. I didn't have that tenure like the other managers. So I always got the worst shifts. But I told myself, you know what? Just while I graduate, after I graduate, I'll get my corporate job, and everything will be awesome. Yeah. I graduated college, and that's when my mom sat me down. I will never forget this. She sat me down, and we're celebrating my graduation. We're at a restaurant. My parents were in front of me, and they said, "Hey, now that you graduated, what do you want to do?" And I told them exactly what I told you, and they said, "Great. Okay, how about we send you to Europe? Okay, for 2.5 months. However much time you want to stay out there. You check out what we do. Okay, one of my buddies lives out there. Why don't you go and just crash with him and kind of just shadow him?" And if you like what we do, great, and if you don't, then at least I'll know that I scratched that itch, basically. Yeah. I'll know that I gave you the opportunity and you're the one that said no to it, and it wasn't on me. Okay. Right. So then later on, when you come back to me, you can never come back to me and say, why didn't you ever show me this? Right. I'll clean my hands up and say, hey, I showed you. You said no. Right. I said, cool. And that was my goal. My goal was to go to Europe and spend a day with this guy, and then backpack it the rest of the time in Europe and just have a good time, have a blast. I was going to consider it my graduation gift, and then come back to the States and get my corporate job. It took, I want to say a day, but probably less than a day for me to fall in love with what 4Life is, what we do. And I started my journey when I was 25 years old. And after 5 years of working my business, every single day, man, I was able to actually retire at 30 years old, leave my corporate job at that time because I still had to come back and get a corporate job. I was able to leave my corporate job.
Time out. So did you go to Europe?
Yeah, I went to Europe.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go?
I stayed in Vallirana. Vallirana is a small city on the outskirts of Barcelona. It's a bus right away. It's about 15, 20. Yeah, it's about 15, 20 minutes from Barcelona. It's just on the outskirts of Barcelona.
On the East Coast or the West Coast?
On the East Coast.
I didn't get. And then I spent some time in Santander and San Sebastián.
Yeah,
you're on the other side.
Yeah, and it was awesome, man. I went over there.
It's beautiful.
It was beautiful, man. I spent some time over there. It was awesome. And then I was in Barcelona, a lot of different places in Spain, in Madrid, Toledo. Just nice everywhere. Yeah. Spain, and then I also went to Germany. Nice. I also went to Andorra, which is on the border of France. I was actually able to see France. I didn't cross over, but I was able to see France. And then I was about to go to Africa. I actually even went. There's a funny story about this. I'll tell you about it later. But I actually had to go get a vaccine, the yellow fever vaccine.
Yeah.
Got a little booklet so I can go into Africa. And the guy messed up with the vaccine, so he gave me 2. He gave me a double dose. Oh. So I actually got sick. Oh. I actually got the yellow fever in Europe. I was actually yellow. That's what we call it, yellow fever. I was yellow, man. I was bad because he messed up on it. And he gave me. I went to a clinic over there. He gave me a double dose of it, and I got sick. And then we ended up scratching the trip and not going. Not because I got sick, but just because in the business things change. And then the guy that I was with he said, "Oh, the trip got postponed. I'm going to go until next month." But I wasn't going to be there ananymore. So I was like, so I missed my opportunity of going to Africa. Cool, but I loved it, man. I had a blast over there. And then when I came back, that's when I started.
So part of your travels were part of For Life shadowing this guy?
Yeah, that's what it was. That's exactly what it was.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was my mother's intention. Yeah. My intention that I hadn't told her about was I was going to go with this guy for about a day and then say, "Hey, you know what? Awesome meeting you. Peace out. Backpack it. I'm going to go and do my own thing."
Yeah.
But when I got there, he didn't even have to try. I was just shadowing him, and I just loved everything that was going on. And I decided to stick around, and one thing led to another. And then look at us now, man.
Yeah. So when you come back to the States, you started working for Life, or you were working the desk job?
Now, when I got back to the States, I actually spent a couple years just working for Life. Because I was living with my mother in Miami. Remember, I lived in Miami for 2 years, a little over 2 years. I lived in Miami. So for those first 2 years, I was just doing the business. Okay. And I was actually able to get to Diamond, which is the first rank in the business. Right. And then after that, I was able to get to Presidential. But anybody that knows, Presidential still not going to be able to, pay your bills to survive, at least not in the US, So I made Presidential, and I was qualified in Presidential. And then I made a decision. Man. I say, you know what? I'm never going to grow if I stay here living with my mother in Miami. I have it too easy. I know myself. I work best under pressure. Yeah. I work best when my back's against the wall. I had it too easy when I was living over there in Miami. So I told my parents, "Hey, you know what? I got to go," because part of this business is contacting people. And I told myself my professional contacts are all in Texas. Yeah. So I got to go back. Okay. So I packed my car, and I drove back, I drove back 22 hours.
That's a long drive, man.
That's a long drive, man. I've done this several times. I drove back from Miami to San Antonio, got back here, got my first apartment. And, my mom said, "Hey, you know what? Great. You're going to go do your own thing. That means you're going to go do your own thing." So she cut me off. She wasn't helping me anymore. I know. So I had to get a job. So I got a regular job. And that's when I started working corporate, man. I was working a regular job as I built my business. So I had to start just like everybody else, started from the bottom, started building my business at the same time as I had a job. I had a regular, 9 to 5. And I was doing this, and then it started growing little by little, to the point that I got to a point that I was able to.
Very interesting, Ivan, is let's pause there a little bit for the viewers, especially the distributors that are going to watch this. You're a Presidential, you get to Presidential, you move to San Antonio, you start your corporate job, but you're still having that residual income come in.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a great time, man! I wish
Oh yeah.
I would have had
Yeah.
that residual income when I was working my regular jobs, because now that I have the residual income, and it's not even that much yet, it's a
Yeah.
good amount,
Yeah.
but man, that buffer, bro, that buffer,
That
man.
buffer. That's why I was driving a 350Z, man, and that's why I was, able to go out and eat and not have to really think about, how much money I was spending, at restaurants and stuff like that. I was having a good time, man, but I was building my business, and then, I mean, I was still very young, and then I got smarter with my money, smarter with my finances, because one of the things about working in the business is you start reading a lot, you start reading books, you start looking at, personal self growth and development, and I started learning about what I should be doing with my money, how I should be managing it better. And plus, I got a girl, so once I got with my now wife, when I moved to San Antonio, she was here in San Antonio. I met her at UTSA, so when I came back, that's when we started talking again. And that's when we started dating. And, and we moved in together. And, that's when, we actually started our relationship. And so, yeah, so I did have that buffer, man. For a while, I had that buffer and it was nice. And I continued to grow my business. And I was able to get to the point that I was making the same in my business as I was making in my day job.
Oh,
So
nice.
and I still had a day job.
Yeah.
And then I got to the point where my business demanded more time of me. For example, this is what I was doing. I was clocking out Friday at 5 p.m., 5:30. And by 6 o'clock, I was on my way. For example, I started a line in Monterrey, Mexico. By 6:30, I was already on my way to
Yeah.
Monterrey.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would get there late at night. So really didn't get to do much on Friday. Maybe get one presentation in on Friday night. And then Saturday, I worked all of Saturday, and then Sunday worked in the morning, and in the evening drive back, okay, to San Antonio so I can be at work on Monday. So it was just really reduced the time that I was able to invest in my business. And I was already making more part-time than I was full-time doing in my business. And that's when I say, hey, you know what? I gotta leave what I'm doing. And that's when I had to make that decision. I had to make that tough decision. And it's a tough decision because your salary job is it's there.
Safe.
It's safe. It's
It's
safe. And even though I had already been consistently making a paycheck with For Life, it's always that I don't want to say risk factor, but hey, you know what? Now it's on me. Now it's on me. I have no buffer now.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's gonna come. And everybody's gonna know when is the right time to do it for themselves.
Right.
Everybody's gonna know when. I decided to leave it. I left it. Focus more on my business. And one of the best advice that I got was from one of my mentors, which is Juan Rosado. He actually said, "Hey, Ivan, when you leave your job, treat this as your job. Invest 8 hours a day in this, or if you can, invest more in it."
Yeah.
Okay, because one of the traps that people do is they'll leave their day job and they think they can still just put in about 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours here, okay, and they're still going to be growing at the level that they want to. Can it happen? Yeah, it can happen. Okay, but I suggest that you invest more time in this, and that's exactly what I did. And I was able to grow my business to the point that now it's comfortable and I don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay,
Right.
it's sustainable. It's a rentable business now.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you what, the way I talk about that buffer, COVID's happening. I'm a coach, PE coach, school district. And we have our WhatsApps. And one of the biggest things they were talking about is like there's gonna be no sports, right? So a lot of the teacher coaches and myself, we teach PE during the school year, but there's not gonna be no after school, the stipends.
Yeah.
And most guys, we coach 3 sports, and everybody's worried about their car payment and this and that. When they take away that stipend, and I think to myself, man, am I lucky? My residual income hit. It's a little bit more than my regular monthly stipend, so
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
It feels kind of nice not having that stress, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
I
for
said,
sure.
I'm still not international or whatever it is, but when you get to that level of having that buffer, man, it's just so much more comfortable, bro.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what it's all about, man. Being able to make it's not about the money, it's what you can do with the money.
Yeah.
It's what you can do with the money. When you have
Yeah.
that freedom to actually be able to not worry about it, and you truly take control of your life, you take control of what you can do. that was the best for me.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
Which is cool, man. Ivan, man, we talked about strength and conditioning, getting big, the protein, great information. I'm sure some of the viewers from distributors will enjoy this For Life story. I didn't know he had traveled Spain for a little bit, which is kind of cool. I learned something new today about you. I always enjoy conversing with you, hanging out with you when we're at those conventions or San Antonio,
Absolutely, man.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, bro. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. Anybody that's watching this right now, tune into to Rudy, to Mendezville. He always has great speakers. He always has great topics. It's something that I'm gonna start doing from now on as well. Keep it up, brother. It's a great job you're doing, and pleasure to be on, man.
Hey, thank you so much, Ivan. Have a good night, man.
You too, man. Take it easy.
Peace. So that is my buddy Ivan Villanueva. He is one of my go-to guys when I talk about or when I have questions about For Life. But I brought him on more for the protein and the muscle and getting big because this guy, I mean, when we had a challenge a few years back, and I mean, man, there was no way I could. I mean, he got first place. I mean, he was shredded and big, and I was like, man, very disciplined, nutrition key, understands the supplements. I'm glad tonight I got to learn about hydrolyzed isolate protein a lot more understanding that I used to have. The MCTs, the medium chain triglycerides. I didn't know that. That's something new. So, that's good information. Hopefully some of you learned a little bit out there about the situation and how that works. Once again, before I leave you guys, this broadcast today was brought to you by Elite Wellness Center, located at 1217 North 10th Street, McAllen, Texas. Call them up for meet all your wellness needs. And of course, brought to you by For Life, Together Building People. We are the immune system company. If you need more information on getting your products, you can always go to forlife.com, Rudy Mendez, or you can also go to, where is he? Right here. You can also go to forlife.com. It's actually supposed to be a / forlife.com /Rashad Culver. You can always get your transfer factor products from Rashad Culver. You guys have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your night, I guess. See you guys. Peace. Or if you're watching it during the day,